What is up, For the Rock family? Welcome back. This is part 2 of the top 25 Christian metal and rock releases of 2024. In this part, we are going to be looking at May through August. I know it's now October by the time you're probably seeing this, if not even later, but thank you for your patience. As you can see, everything is a little different behind me. My wife and I bought a house, quite moved in at this point, other than the rest of my office behind me, that will kind of continue to see a little bit of transformation, and hopefully will be nice for videos at some point in the near future. But I wanted to go ahead and get these videos started because I am majorly behind where I wanted to be. Thank you for being here. I hope you all have enjoyed this year in releases so far. If you have not watched part 1, you can do so after. There's technically no spoilers, just because this is a whole new set of music. We are taking the top 25 of this third of the year, and we'll be doing another 25 for September through December, and then we will be doing a final top 25, basically narrowing down as we go. So these top 25 that you'll see in the description below, don't go ahead yet and give yourself a spoiler. It'll be further down. Watch the video first. I'm sure that there is something new in here for everybody, so make sure you go and watch the whole video. With that, we have a little game that I like to play, and just wait for the moment throughout the video so you can respond in the comments to let me know. Also, we'll have a couple questions that I'll ask throughout the video, again, that you can leave in the comments. Quick disclaimer before we get going. Videos like this take a long time to make, and there's a lot of time and effort and research tracking all this to make sure that I'm kind of doing it as fair as I can. The way YouTube works with, and just everything with copyright and monetization and everything, if you would feel so led to help support For the Rock as a ministry and helping platform these artists, consider joining our Patreon page. You can even join for free and get a couple perks there. I'm going to be working on those perks very soon, as well as for any paid tier. I'm going to start posting my record release lists and keeping that updated so that you can actually see basically on a week-by-week basis what is new in the Christian metal and rock world. So I will be getting that up on Patreon very soon. Lastly, just before we get going here, I'm going to go down number 25 through 16 are going to be just a quick 15-20 second preview of each record. You see the cover art and then a snippet of one of my favorite tracks from the release. This way we can kind of get down to the top 15 because these videos end up being so long and a lot of time to edit together. Thank you for understanding that, but definitely check out the description afterwards to make sure you check out all these releases, and then also for a number of honorable mentions will be listed below those as well. All right, let's kick it.
There's gotta be an song still in them? With the song still in them? I pray for you, I pray your return to the love you found in him, but never ever again. Never wake up. Outrage, we chose the wilderness. Oh, Yahweh, forgive us 40 years for living in the mud.
All right, I hope you all enjoyed number 25 through 16. A lot of music, a lot of great music, and so much of that hurts to not be able to give it a bigger spotlight and talk about it even more in this way. Oh, it was really hard to narrow it down. Like, in many ways, this top 25 could be a top 25 of the entire year. I think the first 4 months of the year were absolutely insane, but I think that one really narrowed down to the top 10 or so. This is like top 20 or just top 25 even. Just like everything is just so good. I feel like in many other years, this would almost be like the top 15 of this is just absolutely insane, amazing releases. So with all this being said, where I place these bands right now, maybe even some of the lower ones could all of a sudden jump up in my final top 25 of the year. This isn't a set place for my final end of year decisions. This is a way to help me look back and just make sure that I'm being as honest and truthful and just where I stood in the moment at least, and where we can narrow it down from easier here. This was like my short list for this section of the year. Let's kick it in to number 15, my favorite New Zealand hardcore band, Amanaki, with their EP Embers. These guys and gal have been absolutely killing it over a number of years, just making some really sick hardcore music. While this EP is phenomenal, it's called Embers. Love the art style that they have, and basically every release kind of follows this art style, and I absolutely love it. I don't think this EP was quite as strong as their last one called Tempest. There are some amazing tracks on here as well. Check out this preview and you'll understand why there's something unique about them. Number 14. This is actually a project that was near and dear to my heart. I got to work on the cover art for it, and I'm trying to come at this in a totally non-biased way. I truly believe there's something special about this release. This is the Too Blind to See EP from Classic Disaster. My man Adam Castro is behind this project. And he's the vocalist. Yeah, you can go and check out his channel called Sanctify Studios. He does some reactions as well, but he kind of goes into longer depth discussion about particular tracks and their lyrics even more so than I do here. So you can actually go pick up a CD of that. I currently don't have it out with me. It's somewhere in my CD collection that is still in totes. I need to eventually crack out and figure out what I'm doing with. Kind of started out more as like a hard rock band, but they've definitely turned more into metalcore, and just doing some super sick heavy riffs, catchy choruses, and just absolutely great lyrics. But yeah, some sick songs. Go and check out Too Blind to See by Classic Disaster. Next up, it is your friendly neighborhood bros in Brutality. Yeah, so these guys have ventured off and become independent. They have released their first new piece of music with their newer drummer, who's absolutely slaying, might I add, especially with their seeing these clips of them playing live. But yeah, Brutality with a super mature new sound for this EP. It's called It Feeds. The artwork is just brutal, and a more brutal logo to go along with it. These guys come out of a very thrash metal sound with their first two albums, but as they've grown, as literally they've gotten older, because they released their first album like just out of high school, these guys have been absolutely maturing as musicians and just taking their craft to the next level. This EP is, it's so hard to describe it. It's like, it's not chaotic, but it's just like, it's thrash, but with more like, I don't know, like hardcore influences. Like it's like grimy and raw, and it's so different. Like I guess it's a more death metal thrash post-hardcore. Like it's a really weird blend of sounds, but it's so unique and it's so good, and you have to go check it out. All right, next up, Tyrell's Ascension, or Tyrell. Sorry if I'm butchering the name, fellas, but they have a new full-length record called Hellwalker. I had to go back and give this one another listen. It was one of those ones, upon first listen, it was okay, but I gave it another shot in preparation for this list, and I thoroughly enjoyed my listen. They definitely jumped up my list. Before, I don't even think they were going to make it into the top 25, but they skyrocketed up. This is absolutely a release that you should go and check out. It's a very like 2000s metalcore, like metalcore, where you got the real full-on metal riffs, not so many breakdowns. You got to go and give this a little peep. I think these guys have one of the coolest releases this year on the label. Next up, a Canadian band. I am so proud of Kozen. They're from Ontario, Canada, so unlikely that I'll get to see them at any point. Hopefully, maybe they come out this way, but they had an absolutely sick record, I believe in 2019, called A Fearful Wonder, and just a super unique blend of like progressive rock mixed with these like metal influences, and just very eclectic and different. And their new EP is no different. It's called Sunwaves. It's just crazy. Like, there's so much good stuff about this. I love the cover art. Yeah, the cover art is by Jonathan, also known as Cutwise on Instagram. He has a super cool kind of like cut and paste art style. Like, it's very much started with like magazines and such, but he's ventured into doing artwork for Christian rock and metal artists. Kozen Sunwaves, this is, I believe, the newest that he has done. Just super perfect vibe for this EP. Can't remember which song it was. I think it might be As Wide as Zen. Some Japanese parts in here that are just super cool. Definitely a very eclectic rock band sound with like metal influences. You gotta go and check out Sunwaves by Kozen. Here's a little snippet.
See a softer strike in the process of hammering. の向こうから美しさが舞い降りた The Flare was pleased as well. Direct on me to yourself. The core of me, my bubbly reflects.
Top 10 time. Thank you all so much for being here. If you've made it this far and you haven't skipped, let me know down below and give me a little piece of pizza. Type pizza in the comments or leave a little pizza emoji. I love doing that. I love seeing all your guys' comments later on. I love me some pizza. But now that I have been celiac for a year and a half, good pizza is hard to come by. But I still love pizza. Number 10, A Secret Ending. Not my favorite release from A Secret Ending. However, it is absolutely so cool and just kind of came out of nowhere upon releasing 4 new tracks from A Secret Ending. This is Hellquakes Chapter 2. The original Hellquakes EP came out in 2022, and this kind of continues the theme. This EP is more than just a musical listening experience. You have to see the videos that A Secret Ending put together for this release. I think most specifically for The Sins of Manasseh. The video that he put together for this song is just absolutely wild. And I will include a little snippet in a sec here. Ed has fully found his sound, and I think something that he really loves and can get behind, that he started last year with Hexameron, and that's fully leaning into this brash metal sound. So it's very much metal, thrash metal with brass instruments, and it's just super crazy, something different, and I just love how he really ties in all these concepts with his releases. If you haven't heard of A Secret Ending, I don't know what you're doing or what rock you've been under, but go and check out Hellquakes Chapter 2. Here's a snippet of Sins of Manasseh. Number 9, my boy Trevor Tyson. We've had him on the podcast a couple times. He used to have his own podcast, and he quit. He dropped it. He dropped the mic literally and went and started a metalcore band, and is just all of a sudden a really good vocalist and frontman. Like, what the heck? Yeah, he absolutely killed it with this debut release, and the other guys that are in the band with him. Heal the Hurt with the self-titled EP. Crazy, straight up metalcore EP that's just top-notch quality and performance on it. You gotta check this out. Lyrically, it deals a lot with mental health and just mental health struggles, but coming at it from a hopeful viewpoint in the hope of Christ. So go and check it out. Heal the Hurt. My boy, Trevor Tyson, just absolutely slaying.
It's my heart's design. I'm searching for a way out of this endless night, trying to find the strength to stand up and fight. The dawn is breaking, my spirits were saved. It's my heart's design.
Number 8. got another Rottweiler Records release. This is something different and I think wholly unique to the Christian scene. Yeah, Cleansing of the Temple with their debut record. If you guys had heard of them from their 2022 little EP called Slam for the Lamb, these guys just brought in this absolutely brutal kind of like slam, beatdown, deathcore stuff. And they released their debut album called The Devil Knows My Name. I gotta give a little bit of a warning. This is a bit more of a mature release. And so, actually, some of these ones that we have in the top 10 here there's not too many youngins out there. But yeah, these guys really bring it. These guys, they brought it. But yeah, the artwork is just insane. And what these guys bring to the scene is just so different, so unique. Out there in the pit, screaming and just showing people God's love, and just an absolutely insane record. It's been a little bit since I listened to it, but get ready for something different. Next up, a brand new band that I only discovered about a month ago at this point, called Sower. I think he has an upcoming, either a new EP or an album in the works, and a few new singles out from that release. But he had released the Soil EP. I gotta admit, I was super impressed when I listened to this. Definitely one of those bands that would fit perfectly in with Face Down Records, kind of with that more rock sound. I thought there was certain songs on this EP that sounded very reminiscent of certain parts of the band Weathered, and then you kind of got that same sound that would fit very well with bands like My Epic and Dens, kind of taking that post-hardcore rock sound with a bit of a post-hardcore edge. And yeah, super impressed with this EP. Just absolutely beautiful work. And that's coming in at number 7.
Hey, I'm suffocating under all these weeds, and I can barely breathe. The air is so thick in this dream that I can't sleep comfortably.
Number 6. Finally, the very long-awaited As Fire Falls debut full-length record, Catatonic Misery. What a release. I've listened to these guys for years and years and years, and they've since taken off a lot of their old music off of streaming platforms. Thankfully, I have some CDs from back in the day. I got to see them at Creation Fest Northwest 2017, which was my last music festival that I attended. Yeah, I knew about these guys leading up to that, and I think I was probably one of the few people that already knew them, but long time coming. I've been waiting for these guys to come out with a full-length record, and we finally got it. Catatonic Misery, just a straight-up, pristine, crystal clear, sick-sounding metalcore record, a modern metalcore record. Lyrically, it's a bit vague at times. Just the work that these guys put into it to really solidify their sound. Also, this was released and managed by Trevor Tyson. He's been working with so many artists over the last couple of years here, but this was one of those bands that they finally got this out, and I am stoked that they did, and I'm stoked to listen to it again because it has been a little bit. I remember upon first listen, I was pretty blown away.
Don't tell me where it could go. Don't run one more time. Don't tell me what I can be. I don't wanna be nice.
Number 5. This one, I slept on this one for so long. I finally checked it out the other day, and this skyrocketed up my list. Absolutely incredible. I'm sad I couldn't give this one any higher. So this is a little disclaimer. The way I've done my ratings, just to give myself a little way of being able to differentiate and where I could maybe put these on my list when I gave them the ratings out of 10 to a decimal point. Like, I could do whatever decimal point I wanted. So technically out of 100. But so I didn't even get to include 16, but 16 through 8, I gave them all an 8.5 out of 10. And now, obviously, they don't all completely equate to each other, but it was just like, when I listened to it, I'm like, yeah, like 8.5. It's not quite a 9, but it's more deserving than an 8, I felt like. So just to kind of, don't take that number super seriously, but that was what I had to work with. That many bands, all these bands that I'm talking about, 15 through 1, is like at least an 8.5 out of 10, if not higher. So now that we've gotten to number 5, well, we dealt with a couple 8.9s. And then now 5 through 2 are 9s, and then number 1 is a 9.5. That's how I rated them when I listened to them. Most of these releases I have given multiple listens to, except for this one. Number 5 is a band that came out with an amazing EP a couple years ago called So Much Hope Buried. I don't know if you remember, but at the time, like when they released their first EP, there was just something really different about them. They had this really cool kind of metalcore sound with like piano in it, and it was kind of like this melancholy metalcore piano driven, just super different. They've switched their sound a bit. They still have that metalcore influence in them, but there's a lot less screaming, a lot more singing, and just overall, this record absolutely blew me away the other day when I listened to it. Again, another kind of sad sounding overall record. However, there's a lot of hope layered throughout. Their record, it's called I'd Be Lying to Say I'm Not Weak. And just a lot of lyrics about questioning God, and within having those questions, still having faith and belief. I can't wait to listen to this record again. I heard it the other day. I had to message Sean. I'm like, dude, like, have you not listened to this yet? Like, this is legitimately one of the best releases of the year. And it's crazy at this point when I'm trying to be fair on my placings and my lists, and it's all arbitrary, but like, yeah, absolutely astounding record. And I'm this hyped about this stuff. Just like, we got 4 absolutely insane releases to come. All right, number 4. It's another band that I would kind of describe as perfect for face down record. It's perfect to fit into like Atlas, everything in slow motion, My Epic, kind of in that harder rock. Whereas Sower kind of was more rock with a post-hardcore edge. This is more post-hardcore with a rock edge. And I think if you listen to these back to back, you would kind of get what I'm trying to say with describing that sound. This record's so good. It's Descriptor, their debut called Vainglory. Yeah, they had been slowly releasing singles over the last year and a half or so, and finally it culminated into this 8-track record. It's called Vainglory, and don't be deceived, track 4, Exploiter, it says explicit, but there is no explicit lyrics in it. But yeah, this album is just pure artistic beauty. It's full of worship. This record blew me away. All of these top records of each of these sections, I would say, are definitely album of the year contenders. And this is one of those ones where it's like, this would be like one of the most unknown bands winning album of the year because it's just so good. Like, the debut just came out of nowhere and it's just amazing. So don't sleep on Descriptor. Go and listen to Vainglory. Just an absolutely phenomenal record that I can't wait to listen to again. You alone restore me today. top 3. And now this is where the lines are going to be drawn in the sand. And I think some people are going to not like this list so much and maybe get mad at me. I can see it right now. I can totally see it. This was very hard for me to decide, and especially between 2 and 3. They could be swapped even though they're very different from each other. Just for how much I've gone back to listen to each one. I don't know, I've probably listened to both of them at least 5 times, if not more. But this is where it's hard. And this is where my list hurt me, because I want to give all these bands top spot. And this is where I have to somehow give a placement. So, number 3, please don't hate me. We have The Fear of God by Convictions. And now I know all of you are screaming at me, being like, how is that not number 1? Well, I will let you know shortly. But again, like, that's the thing. I could easily put this album at my number 1, even though there was one that I gave a higher rating. But this could be album of the year. Like, this could be Convictions, The Fear of God. I would have no problem really giving that award at the end of the year. Just in this season, just in this the time that I've had to listen to these records, there was a couple more that I personally just enjoy that much more, but I can't even differentiate. So please take that all with a grain of salt. But The Fear of God, it's Convictions, but finally a full-length record. It's been forever, it felt like. Even though their last album was essentially 1-2, and this is like almost the same length, I think. I Won't Survive is 7 tracks, but it's 25 minutes, so it's still an EP to me. And this is 10 songs at 30 minutes, so it's an album. But it really doesn't overstay its welcome. It hits hard. Mike really, he tries new things on this record. There's lots of moments where he brings the low guttural screams, but then some of his high screams that he throws in here are just phenomenal. Just the overall direction of this record, the sound with multiple lineup changes, and it's just so good. Now, we've talked about this before, but I think, and it's fair that, you know, maybe it was written with a different crew and it had its own thing going, but I think if this album had one single on it that was left off, it probably could have been album of the year. It hurt so bad when I saw that Stigmata wasn't going to be on this record, and I think that one would have fit perfectly on here. I think it would have elevated the whole package that much more. Like, because that's such a good standout song. But we do have multiple songs on here that are, you know, just absolutely amazing. Sleeping Lotus, The Fear of God, the title track to end it off, Crucible, like so many good songs. Crucible is like one of the most slept on ones. But yeah, go and check out our interview with Mike, and he kind of talks about the whole process of making this record. That was our latest interview on the Kingdom Core podcast, also found on this channel. That was one of the last videos on this channel, so go and check it out. Yeah, anyways, here's a clip from The Fear of God. Number 2, we're going to go slow it down just a little bit. I was blown away from this record. The first time I heard it, not a massive fan. Like, this was one that really grew on me. And I think the beginning of it was because of the change, not so much in the change in sound, even though it is different from previous records, and they've always kind of experimented and changed stuff. But this is my epic with their new album, L'Oreella. I think I was kind of turned off at first. The hype was kind of deleted just a little bit. They announced that they were signing to Tooth and Nail, leaving Face Down. I think this is one of those bands where it's like I've come to know and love them through Face Down, and just the association with that label and the family aspects of that label. And they even said like there's no beef with Face Down at all. They just felt like through this big long transition since their last record that they just needed something to change, something to like refresh almost, and signing to Tooth and Nail Records did that. My Epic has changed from the band that I really grew to love, and when Behold came out, that was one of my favorite records for years. Tying that in with as a special like same day release with everything in slow motion, like that release date, December 10th of 2013. There was just forever, that day was like one of my favorite release dates ever. Having those two albums come out on my favorite label at the same time, and they were both like just equally amazing. But yeah, my Epic has changed a lot, and Aaron kind of going in on social media and just talking about what some of these songs are about, and just things like everything started clicking a bit. Not so much that I was placing his meaning on these songs, because I was looking at the lyrics. Full disclosure, I got to hear this record like a couple months before it came out, and so I had a lot of time with it upon release. And after a couple listens, like the first time I listened, I was like, yeah, like I don't know where this really fits, because this is a band that has meant so much to me. But as I kept listening to it, it just grew and grew on me. It's an amazing record. Moriella, so good. There's so many good moments. I think one of the other little things at first, I was like, oh, what? It's like the cover art doesn't make sense to me. I have to say that this was one of my favorite albums of the year, and I had to give this one second position right now.
We don't fear the light, we face it. We don't tell the truth, we taste it.
We're finally down to my number one pick, and this was so hard to give this number one purely because it's an EP. And I know a lot of people look at these lists, it's like albums. Like, honestly, guys, there's just as many, if not more, EPs coming out these days with the way streaming is and bands releasing single after single after single. I like it being in a collection of songs, and an EP is okay with me. Back in the day, I was always disappointed because I wanted an album because it meant more songs. And in many ways, I still agree with that. But I think if a band puts all their heart and soul into an EP, makes it a good EP, and there's no filler, which I believe everything on here is like that, where there's not really any filler. But when something like this, I think this just became something special to me. And this is everything that I love about music, everything I love about the Christian metal scene specifically. And you guys probably already guessed it. You guys know at this point. It's Holiness Cries by Bloodlines. And I don't really know what you guys want me to say / what I should say. It's Bloodlines. They've been an amazing up-and-coming band over the last half a decade now. It's 5 years since Hostile Minds. That's insane. I loved these guys before Hostile Minds came out. Having gotten to talk to them a couple times now on the podcast, it only makes me love them that much more. These guys are just so incredibly genuine, kind, and loving. Havel was a banger of an EP, and I was hoping for a full-length record after that. But I'll give it to them. They put it together, and they made another solid EP. They did release a song called Psalm of the Depths back in 2022. And if you listen to our interview with them about Holiness Cries, they actually were like really close initially. They weren't going to put Psalm of the Depths on this EP. And like the situation with Convictions, that would have hurt. I think that would have brought Holiness Cries down on my list a little bit. It would have still been an amazing EP. However, having that 1/5 of this EP be as amazing as it is, and basically almost every song on here being equally as amazing, it just really made this a solid, just perfect collection of music combined with the artwork. Something I haven't mentioned as much over on this video, but it's just like how cover art plays it in my head so much of the time. The cover for Holiness Cries is just absolutely perfect, and we went over this again on the podcast, but yeah, Holy, just amazing song. Obviously, this is like it's metal worship. Like, this is everything that we've always wanted. And actually, you know what? Just because this is my top record of this section, I got it. Holiness Cries here. Of course, shipping has to be brutal on me, and having creases and stuff. Oh, it hurts. Absolutely amazing EP. Just incredible. And go buy a copy.
Purify my ways according to your word, for I can do all things through Christ.
Thank you all so much for being here. I know this is such a long video, and for those of you who always sit by and watch the whole thing, I really, really appreciate you being here. And I think it's just the videos like this, years down the road, I'll be able to come back to and watch and just rediscover all this amazing music. Because, like, let's be honest, there's so much music out there. This is all the stuff that I've loved. I go back now and rediscover stuff that I had in like 2010 that were all these small Christian bands at the time that I like were so good, and I was discovering them, and I rediscover them years later. Like, there's stuff in these lists a few years from now I won't necessarily remember, and this is just a way to catalog how amazing and how great this scene is, how much Christian metal rock is still alive, as much as people like to say that it's dead. I don't see that at all. I see it's not rising in mainstream popularity like it was, but I think we're getting more and more honest artists and at a higher quality more often. It's harder to pick and choose how to make stuff in this list. It's so special, and this was just part 2 of 3. We have another one of these to go. We'll have featured a grand total of 75 releases that all were like the creme de la creme, or however you want to say it, of the scene this year. And like I said before, my opinions could change. Stuff that was lower on this list in this video, it's probably not going to happen. It's probably not going to happen that much, but there's stuff in this video that all of a sudden could jump way up. And some of this stuff could kind of go down. And I'm looking back at my part 1 video, and honestly, I have changed my opinions on some of those releases since I did that one. So we'll see how it goes by the end of the year, but I'll try and get a December video out right around Christmas, and that will be like the part 3. And then shortly into the new year will be the final video. And we'll kind of narrow it down from the top positions from them. But once again, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for blessing me with a platform that I have. And I don't necessarily like talking about it or seeing it that way, but like just that you guys take my opinions and you go and listen to some of these bands, and you can go and help out these bands and get some of their merch. Like it means so much to me that you guys care, because for years and years and years, this is the stuff that I care about. And so to have that like-minded community where you guys are just as invested into this scene as I am, it just makes getting to do this kind of stuff, it just makes it so special to me. So thank you for being here. We will be back, and we will do a part 3 kind of in that later December period. So stay on the lookout. If you made it to the end without skipping, I know we did this earlier, but it's like drop that pizza in the comments. Unless you already did, then or you can give me a double pizza, maybe that double pizza for the win. Anyways, thank you for being here. Peace. We will see you soon. It's Chris, not Adam.